Hello and welcome back to Warp Painter's Warpcrafts. In today's video, we're going to be completing our foldable terrain piece by adding the roof and the doorway. So let's get to it. First thing we're going to need is some cardboard. And I got these pieces from a food package that we got recently. Again, use recyclables where and when you can. Here I've cut the cardboard into two pieces. This allows me to fit it easily on top of the box. Once happy with the fit, I just use some masking tape to keep the pieces together, and then use super glue to attach it onto the house. You'll want to cut the cardboard to an appropriate size. Just make sure to leave an overhang that extends over the edge of the box. To get this effect, we're going to be using a paper straw. Not only will you be using the whole of the straw, but you can also use the wrapper it comes in. It'll make for good fodder for your paper mache later on. Trim the straw a little beyond the length of the roof. This will give you the allowance you need for you to be able to layer the straw like tiles. After trimming the straw to the right length, you may get some deformity from the cut. Just take a paintbrush and use it as you see in the video to fix the deformity. Now cut the straw lengthwise down the middle. This will give you the semicircular shape that mimics roof tiles. Just try to estimate how much straw you're going to need for your build. In my case, it took me 5 straws to complete this small roof. With the cutting done, let's proceed to mount the tiles on the roof. I'm just using PVA glue for this mounting, since we're using paper products. To mount the tiles, start with the lowest layer first. This is the layer that is nearest the edge of the roof. So start with the bottom tile, and then put the other tile on top, but make sure to overlap them with each other, as you can see in the video. Just continue to mount the tiles in this fashion until you completely cover the entire cardboard. While it is tedious, it can also be relaxing, and at the same time will give you a great texture with the finished product. Having finished the first set of tiles, we're now going to proceed to the top layer of our roof. We want the semicircular side of the straw to be facing us once we're done. Now to do that, we just have to put PVA glue in the channels and the in-betweens of the first set of tiles. And then mount the tiles as we did in the previous layer. Start with the lower set of tiles and then put the upper set of tiles, making sure that the upper set overlaps with the lower set as you see in the video. You may opt to put PVA glue on the overlaps of the straws. This will make for a stronger roof once it dries. You might be wondering if it's possible to use plastic straws for the build. The answer is yes. However, you will have to use super glue instead of PVA glue to mount it, as you see me doing in the video. This is because plastic does not play well with PVA glue. This is what the roof will look like once you're done mounting all the tiles. The last bit of mounting you need to do is down the middle, where the two sides of the roof meet. Just place the tiles in much the same way as you did before. Now the last bit we're going to do for the roof is to seal it. For this, just mix 1 part PVA glue with 1 part water, and then use a brush to lather it on the entire roof. The purpose of this is to make it more durable, considering this will be seeing a lot of wear and tear from all the folding and gaming use. Make sure to get the mixture in all the nooks and crannies of the roof. Pay special attention to joints and any loose tiles that you might encounter. Once you're done sealing the roof, set the project aside for 30 to 40 minutes for the glue and water mixture to properly set. So we'll be making some rivets. I'm just using a scrap piece of plastic card which I used from a previous build. I'll just take a bit off of it here using my hobby nippers. Just a note, I used the same kind of foam that we used for the bricks for the door. I just cut them into strips and used PVA glue to attach them to the doorway. Back to the rivets. So I've trapped the plastic card under my ruler and I'm now cutting a sliver of it using my hobby knife. Please make sure to keep your fingers away from the cutting edge of the knife. Safety must always come first when you're hobbying. Back to your hobby nippers. Just cut the sliver into little squares. Make sure that the size is appropriate for the door that you're building. For the boss on the door, I'll be using a super glue cap. So what I do is I take the super glue cap, I remove the little fin, and then what we do is we're going to trim the top off of it. So it's going to give you this nice round shape. Again, don't throw away the fin. You can use this for another project later on. Just a reminder to keep your fingertips away from the hobby knife while you're cutting the top. So once you're done cutting the top, don't throw away the rest of the cap, as you can still use this for other projects also. Now do a dry fit of the boss on the door and adjust as needed. You can optionally use a nail file to smoothen down the end that you'll use to attach to the door. Let's go back to the super glue and use that to attach the boss and the rivets to the door. You don't need too much, all you need is little pearls where you'll be attaching the rivets and the boss. So just use your knife to pick up the objects because they're kind of small and then attach to the door. Just adjust as needed before the super glue dries. So I got the idea for the door from watching The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. It's actually very similar to the design used on the door of the Baggins house. At the same time, it does give your door quite a better texture once you add rivets and the boss. Now we are really at the end of our tutorial here, as I will not be covering painting and finishing of the piece in this series. The intent of the video was to share how I create foldable terrain, which we have largely done over 2 parts. If you'd like to go on to finish and paint up the piece, then I would suggest you look at the other excellent content created by other YouTube creators already. However, do stay to the very end of the video because I will be sharing my own showcase of the piece, painted and finished. Thank you again for watching this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you found this both enjoyable and helpful to you. Now, if you'd like to share any of your finished craft tops from any of my videos, then feel free to do so on my Instagram, TikTok, or even here on YouTube. Thank you, and hope to see you again next week for another one of Warp Painter's Warp Crafts.